Do you want to learn how to sell more than $72 million of real estate? Welcome to the Agent Advantage podcast. I am Thomas Harris, your host, and today I am lucky to be joined by Alex Daredia, a top producing agent in Bakersfield, California. Today we're going to learn how he's amassed over 100 five-star reviews and has become a staple in his real estate market. Alex, thank you so much for coming on. We're excited to have
No, I'm more excited than you are, buddy. I think when you called yesterday, I was like, yes, say less. I'm on board, count me in.
you.
This
Yeah,
is
it's going
great.
to be a
I
lot of fun.
appreciate it. Awesome, man. Awesome. So
Well,
yeah, no, it's been a great journey. So thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I wish you all the best on this new venture.
thank
Hopefully it
you.
all pencils out.
I
Yeah.
really appreciate that. So
Yes,
speaking
sir.
of journey, how did we get here? Because I know I said this before, it's not a straight line. Nobody plans to be where they are. So tell us, how did you
No.
get here?
Man, a lot of stress, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of consistency, but I come from a banking background, right? So I had that 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. kind of a job. I wasn't getting anywhere financially or promotions. And then I decided to jump in. Well, I decided to get my license and save 6 months worth of income. And that's how I got into real estate. And when I was at banking, I was making calls, right? There was a script. My manager gave me a script, says, call for credit cards. So I would have call nights and I would follow the script and get people for credit cards. That sounds wrong, get people, but have them apply for credit cards. And I wasn't getting anywhere as a promotion, right? She wouldn't want to promote me. So I got my license, saved 6 months worth of income, and then I just went full on board into real estate, full time. Just started cold calling like a madman.
What was it like for you transitioning from well, I don't know if that was a commission-based role, but going from working for somebody, having those specific hours, and then jumping into entrepreneurship and unlimited potential, but you have to be your own boss.
So it was very scary, right? The unlimited potential, I didn't know. I didn't really look at it that way. I just knew I could make a lot of money, but it's just like you don't know how much you can make until you really go in head first, right? My thing was I just want to make more than what I make right now, right? Which was about 40, maybe $60,000, not even 60, $50,000 annually, hourly and commission based, right? And I just that's just how it started out.
With that
Yeah.
transition going from selling credit cards, which maybe not something that people want, and then starting to come over here and sell houses, which is the American dream. Like, what was that
Yeah.
transition like? Did it make it a lot easier for you that you had gained those skills cold calling on something that maybe not everybody desires and then jumping into something that everybody wants?
I you know, Tom, I'll honestly tell you, I think it definitely helped my career in real estate, 100%. Picking up the phone and I'm seeing so many agents, they want to fight it. It's your best friend. It's the most profitable avenue in the business, The transition was truly very stressful. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I mean, first 2.5 months, I had no transactions. I didn't know what to say. I had no lingo, but I still went down 8 hours a day, pulling my hair out. I would go out for breaks, like 10-minute breaks every 3 hours, come back in, back on the phones, just cold calling, like nonstop, like nonstop. Like, do you want to sell? Do you want to sell? And as the more I did it, my verbiage got better. I got better to handle objections. And instead of role playing, I just went role played with the clients because I had nothing to lose, right? I had no clients. So I really, really learned the hard way, and I did get a transaction out of it, and I was mind blown. I got it's in a really rough neighborhood, for $169,000. Okay, I took a listing, cold calling. They moved out of state, and I made like 14, 15 grand on that transaction, right? And ever since, and I was like, is this how you do it? And is this how you make that kind of money? Say less. I'm on the phones nonstop ever since. Yeah,
Do you think
man.
it made it
So
easier for you, like that you knew cold calling and it's something that not really a lot of agents want to do, that it became something that you specialize in and you continue doing this day?
yeah, I still do it, man. I still do it to this day, nonstop. My schedule is like I walk into the office 8:30. I role play with a couple of guys in the office, and I just jump on the phone 9 o'clock sharp, right? I maintained that banker's schedule. Jumped on the phone till 11:30 noon. Now I am not calling 8 hours a day, but my calls are more precise, more subjective, and I'm looking for appointments more than I'm looking for, do you want to sell? Do you want to sell? Do you want to sell? Right? It's more, the calls are more just appointment based, I guess you can say. And then after that, lunch, and then I connect with my assistant, go over signatures, whatever needs to be done, connect with clients, touch base. And if I have no appointments, then I'm back on the phone for the rest of the day. It's that simple, you
Where
know?
did you develop this consistency and hard work ethic that you have? Because you're talking about a very regimented schedule, and a lot of people that
Yeah.
get into the business think like, "Hey, I'm going to be my own boss. I can go play golf right now if I want. I can go on vacation for a week. Like I can do whatever I want." Where did you learn that you had to have this hard work ethic and consistency to produce the results that you wanted?
Where did I learn? So I went to a Mike Ferry event and I very first year, and I was, I mean, in my opinion, he's a real estate god, basically, right? And I was sitting in the chair and he's interviewing all these people that are doing 100, 200 transactions, right? Annually, no problem. And I saw the amount of money that they make, and I was like, I want to be that, right? So that was like a driver for me to get to work, right? And so I just started doing what they do and implement what they do, and it's helped my business. It's just following. It is hard. I'll be very honest with you. It is so hard because I do fall off a wagon, right? I'm like, okay, it's Friday, let's go hang out, but you can't do that. What's more valuable, your goals or lunch hour or a restaurant or partying with friends, right? What's more valuable? What's going to be more beneficial for you at the end of the day? You got to look at it that way.
I've heard it explained too. It's like you have to choose your hard. Like, do you want to have the heart of I have to make these calls, I have to stick to the schedule, or do you want the heart of, hey, it's hard for me to pay my mortgage this month, like I can't make rent. Like you have to choose between those two things,
Yeah.
which life you're gonna live.
And I absolutely don't want to be in that position. I mean, I have a 4-year-old now. It was just her birthday, and I want to be in the position. Well, not spoil her, but if she puts her finger on something and she wants it, yeah, let's get it, right? Like we went to Disneyland and she said, "Daddy, I want this," and we got it, right? It wasn't like, maybe let's circle back or let's think about it, right? I never want to be in that position. If we're out having a good time, I want to be able to make sure she has a great time.
So you stick to the
So
schedule because you want your little girl to have the life she wants.
absolutely, 110%. Yes.
Very
Yes.
selfless.
Yes.
Um, if you could talk to new agents that are maybe struggling or just starting their way into the business, like what would be some tips that you have to them?
Reach out to the peoples in your phone, right? I mean, you got to find there you have a lot people have their database in their phone, and it's gold. To this date, I do a lot of cold calling. I call expires, I call everybody I possibly don't know in the world, which is very hard to do, right? And if you have that fear, call people in your phone that you know or that you think that they like and just tell them like, hey, I just joined this office, I switched careers. I don't know if you're looking to buy or sell, but do you know of anyone that's looking to buy or sell? And I would love to, you know, be the person for them. Like I would love an introduction, and that call might go a long way. Like I made those calls years and years ago, and these people are calling me back now, and they're like, Alex, we're thinking about selling. We really appreciate you reaching out. You might not get something right away. Don't lose hope. Have faith in it. Go all in and give it your 100%, and be very honest to your client. Just rip that band-aid off. Like be honest. Yeah.
In the beginning, it sounds like it was a lot of outbound prospecting for you, hard prospecting, old sales skills. But
Yeah.
now, are you getting some kind of return on investment from all those hours you put into calling of people now remembering you and reaching out and seeing that you are being successful and sticking to your word? Like, are you now starting to get more inbound calls of, hey, Alex, come help me?
I am. You're right. I really am. And I'm so grateful that I did those calls, right? It's a 90-day rule of effect. Right? And the thing is, it's not just one touch. Like, hey, Tom, I'm in real estate. Call me if you need anything. It's not that, right? It's like you get a call from me, like we randomly connect or I shoot you random text message. Hey, Tom, how's things going, right? The way I call it is an omnipresence. You got to stay on top of their mind every 30, 60, 90 days. Like if you don't, they will forget you because there's so many real estate agents, right? And it's not their fault. It's your fault. You dropped the ball. You let them forget you, right? It's not that they don't like you or you don't like them. None of that. You failed on letting them remember you, right? So if they don't call you, it's your loss.
When did you decide to start building kind of like your online presence? Because you're very good about posting on social. You have a ton of 5-star reviews, which is how I even
Thanks.
found you in the first place. Like, at
Yeah.
what stage did you decide to kind of invest your focus into that?
You know, I when I, first month, a buddy of mine and we both joined and we weren't getting any traction, right? And we didn't have a lot of money and it was like, how do we scale? We're tired of cold calling at this point. Like 2 months of cold calling and you don't get anything. It's frustrating, man. You don't understand. Like I was pulling my hair out. It was some dark times. Um, and he was like, let's pay money for Zillow, right? But I didn't have any money for Zillow, and I still don't pay for Zillow. But what I realized quickly was 95% of consumer that wants to purchase a home goes to Zillow.com. So I was like, let's start there. Let's start collecting reviews there. And then I started hammering that same profile on social media, on reels, on like reviews, and your people that you follow, your consumers, your friends and family on your social media, they see that, right? Like, oh, he's heavy on Zillow. And Zillow is kind of like, I guess it gives you an authority, right? Like I have a Zillow Premier Agent thing on all my posts, right? Because like they think, oh, he's with Zillow, he's credited, right? Consumer does not know any better. So for that reason, like I realized that very quick, and I just started building onto that profile as much as I could and as fast as I could.
I know you absolutely
Yeah,
crushed that because I
yeah,
found you solely because your Zillow ranked super high and you
yeah.
had a
Appreciate it.
ton of good reviews. And I was looking
Yeah.
out of market, and that's how I found you. But
I'm I'm gonna tell you a quick secret. So I tell my clients, I'm holding your keys hostages until you leave me a 5-star review. And if that doesn't come in, you're not getting your darn keys. So go ahead and do that. And it works every time. I mean, they laugh about it, right? But I mean, of course, I'm joking as well. But they make sure they leave because they're very excited, right? They're about to get their keys. They just closed on their house. I mean, they went through all these battle wounds, right? The way I call it, and just such a stressful time. Like this is the peak of their excitement. So that's when I asked for it, and it works out great.
That's a good tip.
Yeah,
Thank you.
man. Yeah,
You,
man.
I know you also are a real estate investor and you do some buy and hold, some fix and flip in your market. What do you
Yeah.
think that has done to help you in terms of the way you can work with clients and better explain properties or the market to them?
Firsthand experience, right? I think it builds more confidence when you talk to your clients because at that point, now you're not bullshitting them, you're talking to them from experience, excuse the language, but it's just you're being very, very honest with them. And they can see that right through. And they will, so I tell everybody, look, if you are an agent and if you haven't bought a house, get yourself into a position, buy a house, experience the entire transaction as a buyer, right? What does it feel like to move from point A to point B? What do you experience, right? Because these are all the hurdles your client will experience, right? Now, if you're not able to understand what they're experiencing, how are you going to solve that? That applies to your rentals, that applies to your buy and holds, the flips. I mean, every real estate category, right? I think it just goes a long way.
Can you share with us one of your favorite memories from the last, like your tenure here as a real estate agent or investor? Just like when you hear one of your favorite memories to share, what pops in
Yeah.
your head? We want to hear that story.
You know, I I had just bought a 4 unit apartment and it was very scary because it was a lot of money down. So I had basically almost no money in my bank account. And I had just closed on it a month later. Well, I closed on it and then a month later I was cold calling and this client says, Alex, I got a house I want to sell. I said, say less. Finally, right? Cold call. I said, look, I'll be there at 5:30. We'll go over numbers and we'll see make it what happens. He's like, no, 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 no. I want to sell it for cash. I don't want the market value. I'm sick and done with these renters, the property. I just want out. And I'm like, shit, man, I don't have any money to cash you out or hard money. I don't want to do any of that. I just want to sell it for him. And I just wanted to like collect my commission and move on to the next transaction. Long story short, we sit down and we get the house on the market. we get the house on the market. It goes into escrow. I'm double ending it. It falls out of escrow because the son decides to quit his job like halfway through escrow. And I'm like, dude, what are you thinking? So my client is like, if you don't buy it cash from me right now, or you don't get a loan yourself, I'll go find somebody else. And I said, what's your number? And he says, give me 120. I said, okay, done. I'll give you 120. And at that point, I put all my money into that second property, and I had literally like $2,000-3,000 in my bank account, including my personal. And I remember to this day, like my wife does not know about it because if she found out, it would be all bad, right? So just censor this part out. And I remember that because that motivated me to work so much harder because I had no money in my account, and I still own that house. It pays me like $1,600 in rent, right? I put ended up doing like a conventional loan on it with 20-25% down. Like, so my payment is like $600,
That's
you know?
awesome.
So yeah, it was, so I remember that to this day. That's like my favorite little transition in the life.
It sounds like you've been willing to take a lot of risks in
Yeah.
this. And I mean, in entrepreneurship itself, it sounds like you came in, you had 6 months of savings, had this safe plan, but then
Yeah.
somewhere along the way, you decided to just take more and more risks. And obviously,
Yeah.
it seems like it's paid off. What do you think has like pushed you to that point where you're comfortable to take those risks and keep trying new things that may seem overwhelming up front, but in hindsight, turn into favorite memories?
Thomas, the thing is like I had nothing to lose, right? I mean, I came from nothing. I live on a, I still save all my commission check. I live on a banker salary, very, very, very minimal. I don't drive anything crazy. I keep my lifestyle very minimalistic, right? But what I did realize very quickly was real estate is the fastest avenue to grow your wealth as a consumer, as someone in the business. And if I buy real estate and I hold on to it, I can't go wrong. Doesn't matter if I even overpaid for it, right? Because over a period, even if the market tanks tomorrow, my payments are the same, my tenants are still paying the bill. But when that market turns around, it comes back roaring, right? We saw that 2, 3 times within these last few years. And I just realized like I'm gonna just keep buying real estate, put all my money in there, and I'm gonna just sit on it, right? I'm 34, right? In 30 years from now, all these puppies will be paid off, and I'll just be on some island sipping some pina coladas, man. Right?
Already plotting on vacation, dude. I think you're gonna miss your banker schedule.
I'll still prospect out there, no worries.
I'm sure
You
there's
know?
still phones to call out there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's my long-term vision, man. I want to buy as much as I can, hold on to it, and just sit on it, right? And let these puppies get paid off by the tenants and just ride the wave, right? Because in 30 years from now, I'm sure they're going to be worth a pretty penny, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. They're not. The land is running out. There's not enough space. The space is going to be gone, right? What's going to happen at that point? Look at Canada.
We're already seeing it too in California. I mean, our market's
Yeah,
crazy again, just with rates coming down a little bit. There's just
yeah.
not enough land to go around.
No, there isn't. I mean, people freak out when the rate goes up, but after 2, 3 weeks, they realize this is the new normal, and it picks up again, right? And I was talking to a client that said this is normal rates. I mean, we're used to paying 15-20%. This is six. Sign me up. No big deal. So
Coming off of the cold winter and all the rate fluctuations, like going
mhm.
into this new market where, two and threes of the past, we don't even think about them anymore. That seems unrealistic. Like, what's your
Yeah,
thought going forward into this market?
for as an investor
Just
or
in
as a
general, like as an agent, what are you changing? What are you seeing? Like,
you know
what's your
what
focus been?
I'm not changing anything. Truth be told, I am pricing property more aggressively with the clients. I am having an honest conversation with them. So I'm saying, Tom, I see you want to sell your house for $500,000, right? You bought it for 300. You want to sell it for $500,000. The neighbor comes says 450, right? Now put yourself in a buyer's shoe. What does that payment look like for $500,000? And when they see that picture, they're like, oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Let's start at 450, right? Or they're like, well, let's just give it a shot, and then I'm like, okay, well, let's give it a shot. It's your house. I work for you, but I just want to make sure that you're aware of what I said, because the last thing I want you to have is not a good experience, or Alex, why did you not explain this to us, right? And let's trial it, right, for the next 2 weeks, see what kind of results we get, and then you listen to what I have to say, and they're like, fair, let's do that. And it works, right? Because look, it's their house, their emotions are tied. You want to respect that, right? And it's a lot of money on the table, and who wouldn't want the top dollars, right? So I mean, as long as it's within reasons and they're willing to, like, okay, let's give it a shot for 2 weeks and we'll listen to you after that. I respect that.
I see in that response too that from what you said earlier, if you have the experience of buying and selling, that you're able to then put yourself in their shoes and frame the
Mhm.
whole conversation, not just from their perspective, but from the buyer's perspective, so they can understand the full picture.
Yeah. Like, just most recent, I went on an appointment. It was 800, and I mean, it's an $800,000 house. So I wrote down three different prices, right? Because I hadn't seen the property. So I was running my comps. They showed me the house, the whole 9 yards, great property, great location. The number they had in mind was 899. Okay. After going over comps, explaining everything to them, details, looking at other comps, the lot sizes, the square footage, we decided to put that house on the market for 799 now.
Wow.
Right. And it's just, I think that the thing is, you got to educate your client. You got to explain it to them. They don't do this for a living. They don't understand. They don't look at the market like we do. Right. They just look at Zillow and they think their house is worth 900.
Yeah.
Right. It's so I mean, and then I've been on appointments where my clients are like, oh, let's list it for 5 or 525. And I'm like, let's list it for 569. Let's break some records, right? Because it can go other way too. And we were sweating bullets on this most recent transaction on a property. And my client's like, you know what? I've done this with you before. I still think you're crazy, but I'll listen to you because you came through last time, right? And I picked up that client also from cold calling. And now he called me to sell his another $500,000 home, full commission as well, you know? So it's like, I'm not gonna nickel and dime you. You came through last time. And my conversation with him last night was appraisal came in at value. And he's like, hell, Alex, you're freaking insane. And I says, yeah, I think I oversold myself, but I'm glad it came through, you know? And we were just laughing and having a good time. But yeah, so that conversation can go in both directions, but they can feel when you're bullshitting and they can feel when you're really speaking stats and the truth, you
Yeah,
know?
I think too, your work ethic probably speaks for you too. They don't think that you're just trying to sell them. You don't give
Oh,
off commission breath or used car salesman vibes, anything like that. You just seem like a diligent hard worker. You have your
yeah,
banker
thanks, man.
schedule. You live off your banker
Yeah,
salary, and you're just there to
yeah.
take care of people.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just want to do what's right by them because I think, Bakersfield is a big city, but it's a very handshake driven city. And once your name gets mud on it, it's game over, right? It's gonna get tarnished. You're not gonna make it very far because I mean, I'm putting a transaction together with the family that's been in the city for like over 40 years, and they know almost every broker in town, right? And they decided to work with me, and I'm so glad they hired and they gambled on me, but it's because of the reputation and relationship. I think it goes a long way.
Yeah, that's awesome. If
Yeah,
you could
man.
leave us with a final tip or something that you think is important for agents that want to find that next gear in their production or just are looking for kind of motivation to see what they need to do every day to stay on task, what could
Yeah.
you leave us with?
Get a schedule, role play, hit 20 contacts. Even Greg Harrelson says that. I'm sure everybody knows who Greg Harrelson is. If you don't know, look him up. Um, Hit 20 contacts every day for next 90 days, Monday to Saturday, and just go to work and be honest with your clients, and post on social media twice a day, 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. And I don't care what you post, pictures, videos, just whatever it is, real estate related, just do those things. And that's what I do to this date consistently. It will take you to the next level.
Right on.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
thank you so much, man. It's been great to have you
Absolutely.
on.
Yes,
Appreciate you
sir.
taking the time to be with us.
Absolutely, man. Thank you again. Have a good one.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the second episode of the Agent Advantage podcast. It has been an absolute pleasure, and I know you got some takeaways from that one. Alex has crushed it and built a business off being an honest and hardworking guy. Like this, share this with somebody that you think can benefit from learning. Listen to us on Spotify, see it on YouTube, and follow us on Instagram. Thank you, and we will see you on the next one.